So welcome everyone to our Loving Waters New Moon Water Stewards Connect tonight. And I'm Shelley Darling. And as you could see, this is a very intimate offering here tonight with some of our Loving Waters Council stewards. And Charlie's holding up a beautiful bottle of water. But so we're here, we gather on the full moon, on the new moon and the full moon, but the new moon on a Zoom call where we can really get a chance to meet each other, to broaden our awareness of this intimacy with our sense of wholeness, because we are water, and we're learning that more than even 60%, we are made up of 99% water molecules. And if you question that, you can go to lovingwaters.life and you can read more about it, because we're all in that discovery of this relationship, because we know our broader sensibilities need to start taking place in terms of, yes, switching to bamboo straws or paper straws to much, much greater awarenesses. And in fact, I just want to share, this was a really beautiful thing I found today, which was the marathon in New York. They didn't use plastic water bottles. What they gave the runners, they gave them seaweed packets filled with a special drink to give them energy. And those packets dissolve in like 4 to 6 hours instead of having miles of water bottles strewn across the streets. And really, they say that only something like 3% of the people are actually recycling these bottles, and that, of course, we know they're going into the ocean. So, but tonight is really about us meeting each other, and I'm here with Charlie Riverman and Maya. You got a Shaw Gale, and we're here to invite you into this beautiful world of loving waters. So I'm going to share a story tonight. Maya is going to come back. She's going to open our call, and we invite you into this really unique place of caring and listening to the flow of water within you that will call you to meet new people, to meet people in your communities, and to come play in a world that is really amplified by the water's memory, by its love for us. So with that, I hand the beautiful Water Women bowl to you, the Storyteller bowl to you, Maya.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank you everyone who may be listening in for gathering with us today on the new moon in Taurus. And I just invite us to take a moment and close our eyes, maybe if you're comfortable with that, or just shift your attention inward to that watery world inside, that place where, as Shelley says, we are mostly water molecules. We are 99% water molecules. And we know that our blood is fluid flowing through our bodies, but in every cell, there are more tiny water molecules than anything else. So I invite you to just breathe in and connect with this watery world within. And we knowing now from ancient peoples and Dr. Emoto's work that whatever we expose the water to, whatever thoughts, emotions, words, energies have their impact, the water remembers and holds. So let's just begin by maybe just put your hand on your chest or on your belly and on your body, your own body of water. And let's just begin with silently to yourself, just nourishing yourself with some beautiful images, some words, some thank you to this watery body that carries us about in this world, to our heart that's beating, flushing the tides through our veins and arteries, the tides of our blood, nourishing the cells in our brain, and offer a moment of gratitude to this beautiful water that sources our life, sources the life of every cell in our body. Gratitude and love are the two energies that seem to have the most profound effect on water, profound positive effect, even helping to restore the water molecules to their original crystalline nature. So offering that sense of, even if in the moment you have to pretend to say, I love you, thank you, I'm so grateful. I respect this incredible miracle of life that I am as walking water, as talking water, acting, singing water. And then knowing what water teaches us is that we are connected to everything else. And through the water, when we exhale, we breathe tiny molecules of water out into the air. Water exists everywhere. And now we know in the earth, in the ground, beneath us, there's water. In the air, floating are water molecules. Out in space now we know water is there. Water is even in the fierce heat of the sun. So beginning with blessing our own water, as we breathe in and then breathe back out, imagine connecting to all the waters on the planet, connecting and blessing with your own waters, the waters of the springs, the rivers, the streams, the water of the lakes and the ponds, and all the way to the ocean. Imagining that just through your breath and your intention, you can radiate out this blessing of your own waters to all the waters on the planet and even out into space. Water teaching us that we are all connected. We are one through the water. And how important it is to offer kindness, love, and gratitude to everything, that all of life is water. Thank you to the water for teaching us how to flow around obstacles, teaching us how to come to stillness, how to use our force when we need to, teaching us how to cleanse and nourish. And taking a moment just to acknowledge to yourself, acknowledge to ourselves here that we could take some time every day, maybe first thing in the morning before we go to bed at night, in the middle of some activity, to stop and honor the water within and all the waters around us that connect us, nourish us, give us life. Promise yourself to do a water meditation as often as you can, knowing that just your energy, just your thoughts, and your heartfelt love and gratitude can impact the world in this beautiful way. Thanks to water. I give it back to Shelley or Charlie. Shelley, I think you have a story for us.
Yeah. So welcome, Jim. And again, we're here tonight, just staying here as long as it feels right to each one of us to share our inner story of water. And as Maya was sharing, what a beautiful opening. Thank you so much, Maya. And so I'm going to just tell a little story, and then we'll pass that beautiful flowing fish to Charlie and Jim. And yeah, we're just giving you a peek of the kind of relationships that we have when we really feel this sense of beauty. And as Maya was sharing, I kept feeling into this word reverberation, because the water ripples the memories, right? When we think of the Akashic field or the unified field, it is made up of energy, light, and vibration. And so it's all carried by the water. So it becomes this really existential thing when we understand this, the joy of even thinking about water sprites or undines. So these are some of the things that we talk about on this call. So tonight I'm going to introduce you to something, and I'm going to put myself on speaker. Okay. So a few years ago, someone handed me this introduction to Aquala Awala. So we can just say that, just feel into that vibration. Aquala Awala. And I'm going to show you, it actually, there's a symbol as well. See that? You can see the symbol here. So I thought this is really unusual, and I don't really use it for water blessings, but maybe this is what's being called in. So we invite you to embrace this. Aquala Awala, the Elohim of the waters and the healer of emotions, is the name of an angelic presence new to our planet, whose primary purpose is to help us through this time of transition with the focus of healing our emotions and the planetary waters. This healing presence is found on the same vibratory octave as Bodhisattva or Goddess Kuan Yin. The corresponding color vibration for this presence is aqua, and its potency can be increased with the wearing of the gem aquamarine and with the use of the aquamarine gem elixir. Aquala Awala has been described as a huge, primarily female presence who stands at the ocean's edge and whose head is high into the heavens. She wears long flowing colors of aqua with iridescent sparks of magenta, gold, lavender, and blue. She has a necklace of crystal pyramids, several of which she has dropped into the oceans to begin the healing process. She communicates with the dolphins and whales, and therefore is connected to the healing vibrations of sound and breath. So let's just take a breath right here. Her focus is to bring balance to our emotions during stressful times. In the healing tides of our emotions, located within and through our body, we can also heal through its fluid systems. As Maya was sharing, the blood, the lymph, the cranial sacral, the mucosal, and urinary. At the same time as the healing of our planetary waters takes place, our bodies, and therefore emotions, interwoven through the physical body, will also heal. The emotions come into harmony and greater universal flow. So going back to the symbol, the shape itself is both pyramidal and balancing scales, with two small pyramids forming the weighing dishes, and the tip of the enclosing large pyramid forming that which weighs. In this aspect, the symbol is a powerful in balancing dualities and apparent conflicts, male, female, light, dark, yes and no, and questions of decision. So I'm going to just show this again. So this is something that we can actually do. If you're doing a water blessing, you could actually draw this out on the sand as well to call in this beautiful presence. I'm just going to finish up here. The uppermost tip of the pyramid is the weigher, or the star. The star is called by some God, Creator, Spirit, Universal Wisdom. And in the balancing of any duality, one can simply place the opposing forces in each small pyramid and then sit back, having given the decision to the one that weighs. Listening is of paramount importance when working with this symbol for this purpose. And in the silence, the ebbs and flows of emotional responses to the question will surface for examination. And if you wait long enough, in silence and in listening, the answer will be given. The three dots in the innermost part of the pyramid relate to the Father, Son, or the mind, body, spirit. And in this moment, what I'm hearing, and some of our Loving Waters Council stewards work with the 4-pillar protocol, and that is also bringing in the mother. So you can invite that in as well. In looking down from the pyramid from above, we see this pyramid becomes a square incorporating all 4 directions, as well as the invisible 4th dimension, which is now opened beyond the Trinities. This is the great mystery to us in the time and space, and will open even further dimensions. In this time, it is extremely important to feel our emotions as deeply as possible without being swept away by them. The emotional component is quite profound in co-creation processes, along with thought. This symbol, Akwala, Awala, can help us to stand steady through these changes by helping us to find ways to balance and fully utilize these tides of emotion. Meditation on the symbol will be invaluable in this intention. So just taking a breath. I've actually never shared that before, and we can feel, you can just take a sense of even in visualizing this symbol in your consciousness. We can take a moment before we pass this crystalline water to envisioning the symbol on the earth, on the mother, with gratitude and love. And with that, I pass the beautiful talking water bottle. Oh, actually, Jim, just this beautiful water story gourd, and Jim or Charlie, whichever one. And we're
Shelley, could you say where that was sourced from, that information?
I don't even remember. It's been hidden in a little book, and so it obviously wanted to come forth tonight. But we'll see if we can find the source. And for those of you that are listening, we will be posting more about this on Loving Waters Facebook page, and as well as Water First page. So in our group community. So with that, I pass, and we're just going to open the way here and also share a little bit about your experience with Loving Waters as well as you're sharing for people who might be listening that are new.
Since everybody is quiet, I'll receive the bowl, and my beautiful blue fish will swim around in the bowl. It's thank you so much, Shelley, for that. That was really beautiful. And Maya, you're magic. What can I say? And hello, Jim. I love your brother. And what's interesting is that, this week has been just totally off the charts for me. I'm not even going to explain why, because it's just doesn't matter anymore. I'm on the other side of it. So before we came on tonight, I said, well, I'm going to take the dog for a walk down by the river. And as I'm going there, I'm playing with my phone, and I says, well, let me record a poem. Okay, this is walking down the street, recording a poem, walking a dog. And when I listen to both of you, this is really weaves into that water perfectly. And it goes like this. So how do we measure a drop of water? Do we measure it by its length? Do we measure it by its width? Or do we measure it by its weight? Perhaps we should measure it by its clarity, knowing that in its crystalline structure, it becomes a mirror image of who we truly are. And in that moment of brilliance and clarity, we become united as one, whole and holy, water drop and human being. Alone as one drop or one human being, we each exist in a very solitary and singular expression of life. So, as we have tonight, let us gather together as many drops and be measured for that greater clarity, which displays the true abundance of life, that we are a living, unified field of living light and water. Thank you. It's it's amazing how the water flows, and that's, as I was walking by the river, that's what came through. So I encourage everybody to deepen their relationship with the water and listen. Take that time to listen and to really deepen into the spiritual nature and the wisdom of the water, who has been here long before we were, coming from the stars. I believe it's over 60% of the water was actually formed before our sun was formed. And so it's important, as we come to these gatherings and share in Loving Waters, this is who we are. We are beautiful beings who just adore water and know that without water, there is no life. And so I'm here in Maine, York, Maine, for those who don't know. And although I've been working with water for several years, and actually a long time, but I never did a totally public water blessing. I've done public water blessings, but to groups. And this past Earth Day, I had the loving privilege of doing it on a beach with the local citizens of York who came to clean it up, and 130 children from the 3rd grade of our city who were just enamored to receive a drop of water from my bottle of World Waters. And they were just so endearing and just so alive and excited. The adults, not so much, but the children were alive. And so I encourage all of you who are listening or might be listening to really share with your children some of these messages of the water, because it's really important for them to carry the bucket, so to speak, as we move forward and evolve in this beautiful space and time. So with that, I'm complete, and I will I will let the fish swim over to Jim. Here you go, Jim. It's swimming over to you.
Thanks, Charlie. Now you made me hungry. Oh, good to see everybody. Sorry I was a little late. I couldn't find the link. My fault. Just listening to all of you and enjoying your words, letting my spirit relax a little. I was thinking of sharing a poem, but that doesn't feel what I need to do tonight. So more just sharing my feelings as I've been walking along the water here a lot, especially in the last couple months. when I headed down to the Conowingo the other day with Sue and our dogs, we really didn't intend to walk along the water that much. We were going to explore a couple other areas we'd been told, but it just pulled us there. And the wildlife around the river that day was just incredible. The bald eagles were everywhere. The black vultures were everywhere. The anhingas were diving in the water. There were frogs along the trail. I mean, on and on and on. And it was, given that I had spent several days before that working heavily with the climate striker young people and absorbing all of the thoughtfulness of that group, but also all of the weariness and the sadness that they're carrying. And I was feeling really I don't know the right word. Oppressed is not the right word. I was feeling really, really heavy, feeling the sadness of these young people who should be feeling joy in nature and joy when they go along the water. And instead they have to stand up and say, we want what you guys had. Because even for me, what I remember from years ago, it's not there anymore. And I'm sure all of you have that same experience. But the beauty of what I saw the other day reminds me there's a lot still there and a lot we need to continue to work with. So as I did the water blessing that day, I just really, I was, as I did it a little differently than I usually did, because those of you who know me know that I don't plan much. I just do it, and it either comes or it doesn't come. But I definitely was told to, as I worked with Creator on it this time, to work in the way of the medicine wheel. So I went from east to south, to west to north, around the medicine wheel, and back into the east to allow things to re-energize, to restart, to be reborn. And at that point, I was really called to step into the middle of the medicine wheel. And boy, I could feel the water in a way that I've rarely felt it before. And where we were at that point, I could only lean over and drop water into the water because it was a long drop and my arthritic knees are not helping me anymore. But I could feel it just as if I was standing in it as I did that. And so, I don't know. I brought that to some of the groups later that day that I work with, and some of them were getting it. Some of them are feeling, I think, too pressed to have to do things in a timely fashion. But a lot of them were starting to understand that it's really important, especially for the young, to connect in the ways that some of us have spent decades beginning to understand. So when I watched the ones who were getting it and watched them smile, I knew, okay, this has some merit. So I'm going to do some water work with them. And I've told them each time things feel too intense, too much like you need a break, need to do something else. And I just shared a little bit about offsetting action with prayer and ceremony and intention. And so I'll continue to do that. And maybe as we go along, anybody who's willing, I'll ask you to come in and we'll do something with them, because they want to hear from we elders, those of us who are awake, those of us who value the water and the land and the animals and each other. So I think that's it. It was actually what started out as a very heavy day ended up as a very peaceful day that I feel like I actually accomplished something in a good way in the light. And I put the stick back into the middle.
Let's take a breath with that. That's so beautiful. And just invite us to share our watersheds here. I'm in the Sarasota watershed. And it's one of the things here is that, as you were sharing, I was just envisioning that water medicine wheel. And it's something that we can all carry not only in our heart, but it's something that we can actually do with people in our community. And if you don't know how, it's just really beautiful. This is one of the things about this collective, is that we're here to help you learn, and we're learning too along with you. That, and I was visioning as you were talking, Jim, how you were called into the center. That it made me totally think of the labyrinth, and the ancient understanding of labyrinths, that when we come into the center, so we're walking into where we're releasing things that are no longer serving us, right? And we come to that center to receive from Spirit, to receive from Creator. And that's really the beauty of even being willing to facilitate a water blessing or whatever you're called to do, work with, I've been feeling a really strong same thing, which is to work with the youth. Not that I have something more, but that together we can create something that enlivens all of us, all of us. And then when you walk out of that labyrinth, you're in the return. You're carrying back that which you've been given. And I really feel like that's the movement of life. Really the movement of water is that, we're holding space here tonight to just come into deeper conversation about this. And then, I can already feel, that little symbol, someone's going to take it and use it in their water blessing, or listening to Jim or Maya's poetry. And by the way, I'm just going to mention that on the website, these are some of the tools that we like to offer. You can go to the website, lovingwaters.life, and you can find the poems that Charlie has written, and Maya, amazing stories and poems to the water, Ode to Water. I don't know if you have that with you tonight. And Jim, and this, the Loving Water, the wisdom sharing that we do in the newsletter. If you want to know more about Jim's story about walking that river, so this month we shared his story. So, again, it's just keeping that, for me, it's really how to stay simple and to listen to how the water is calling us. So with that, I pass the beautiful, let's look at the bear claw woman, water woman. And we pass that over to whoever wants to grab it. And yeah, what's moving in you?
Well, I'll share that I am in the Santa Barbara coastal watershed. And here we have a number of different, we call them creeks, or kind of little rivers, some of them, that flow directly in from the mountains down and into the ocean. And when I do the monthly full moon water ceremony here, I was listening to you, Jim. Yeah, I always have a different theme sort of emerges each month. I listen to the astrology and what's happening on the planet and what's inside of me, and we do different things. But I do always use a medicine wheel with the 4 directions, and I have a bowl of water in the center that I put my different world waters, as you say, Charlie, waters that have come from sacred places. And whatever blessings we offer, songs, drumming, singing, prayers, we put into that central water. And then we always, at the end, walk down to the ocean, because we're right on the beach where the actually Mission Creek runs in, and offer it to the ocean and ask Grandmother Ocean to spread that around the planet, to spread the prayers and blessings and intentions. And a lot of times we get children. I love when the children are there. What you said, Charlie, they get it so deeply. To them, it is immediately so real. And they are so delighted to help carry the water to the ocean, or to talk to the water and offer blessings. So I love it. And I have a wonderful Shumash elder who assists me, works together with me every month when we do the water blessing. And our area is dealing a lot now with the oil companies kind of assaulting us with wanting to open up all these fracking wells. And so our local Environmental Defense Council and Community Environmental Council are coming together, and all of us, there's a lot of activism we're having to step it up. But I love what you said, Jim. I want to be the voice that reminds everyone to balance the action and the marches and the stand-ins with that inner subtle activism of prayer and intentioning. And that not only has another kind of impact, but it nourishes us. So today is sustained while we have to, I don't like to say fight these battles, but take these stands. To me, that's the feminine way, is we don't fight against, we take a stand for what we want, which is to protect and honor our waters and our lands. So I'm just honored to be a part of that here. And whenever it gets too intense for me, I just walk out to the ocean. I live right by the ocean. I just walk out to her and wade in and ask for the cleansing and the clearing, the clarity, Charlie. So with that, I'm complete. And I will have to move on by 6 o'clock here. actually for a tribal trust event. Tribal Trust is like a mother foundation that supports Loving Waters, and we have an event tonight. So.
Okay, I'll take the stick then. Boy. Yeah, I hear you using the word battle, and you're right. Been trying to find other words. A lot of us call ourselves peaceful warriors, and that will continue. But this is a fight. It's actually a fight for our very existence. It's become so intense now. But that you're right. I mean, it doesn't mean we have to go out with swords or go out every day and just march without the other elements. I think that loses something. It makes us too much like the people who are making this mess. And I'm not even judging them. It just does. I don't want to be like that. So I was just, the watershed, I guess my primary watershed is the Chesapeake. Everything here feeds into the North Chesapeake. Where I walked the other day, the Conowingo is right on, that's the banks of the Susquehanna River. And that's a pretty fast moving, intense river at that point. It's right at the bottom of a big dam. And so when they open the vents, that water moves along. I wouldn't want to be in it at that point. I was thinking as you were talking too, Maya, of the generations and the multiple generations right now. And I definitely feel like I've changed generations. I'm an elder now. I'm a senior, no question. I'm not in the gray area anymore, which is fine. That puts me at one end, but I still have elders above me. I'm dealing with some of that now. My mother's 94, and she's getting ready to take her walk. And we're working with the waters, and she is, to try to understand that as a movement of energy, much like waters. That's interesting because she's in really good health except her heart. And so it's good to remember that only one thing in us can bring us down if we don't stay in balance. I mean, eventually we're all going to go anyway, but staying in balance right now is so critical. I see so many people out of balance, and I feel for them, but there's not a lot we can do about that. As this occurs, as my mother leaves, I suddenly become the elder in my family. And I hadn't thought much about that before, but they've been dropping off one at a time, and it just didn't dawn on me. And so in some ways, I've walked this walk a long time, but in some ways I don't want to do that. So it's like, stay a while, Mom. I don't want to take that role. I have enough roles. I don't need another one. But in other ways, we all connect and reconnect and make sure these things continue. But working with her at one end and working with some of these young folks at the other end, and on our radio show, we've had some of the first strikers, the ones that are out there on Fridays on, and these young people are 13, 14, 15, some are a little 19, 20. To hear them speak is just absolutely incredible. And I constantly have people ask me, come on, you have to be kidding. These people are 30 or 40. Their deep understanding of nature, of water, but also of all the elements, and their ability to understand what it needs is something I didn't have until much later, probably 40, before I really started to put that all together. So they have tools we didn't have, or at least earlier on, and that's quite a blessing. The medicine wheel, Shelley, yeah. I always have people say, well, how did you do the medicine wheel if you're working with water or blah, blah? No. The medicine wheel is not land-based, and we know that. But people think medicine wheel is just land-based. You can only use it on the earth. Not true at all. You can use it in the water. You can use it with the air. You can use it with the standing people, the trees, anything you want. It's energy, not. So I've been sharing that quite a bit because I think people lose a very valuable asset if they're not using things like the medicine wheel, not just the medicine wheel, that are adaptable anywhere. We just connect in with the Earth Mother and we can use whatever we want to, wherever we want to. She always is happy to see that happen. So I don't know where I'm going with this. I was just thinking about that connection of all the generations right now, because this is the time of all the prophecies. And all the elders I know have been saying that for a while. Now they're really saying it. And so it's going to take all the generations. It's going to take all the approaches. No one is more valuable. No one is less valuable. The person standing alone by the river, Charlie was saying he did a lot of this alone. And I know I've known Charlie long enough to know that now he's stepped up and he's in front of groups. But whether you're alone or in front of a group, or whether you're saying a prayer, or whether you're marching on the state capitol, all are equally important right now. The waters want it, the earth wants it, and we need it. That simple to me. Stick in the middle. Sorry, Charlie, I talked too much.
No, Jim, I'll take that. You don't talk too much. I'm the one who can go for hours, trust me. You don't want to call me with an issue because we'll go on forever. What you're saying and what we're all experiencing is really in that last line that came through as a message from the water. We are this living, unified field of living light and water. And as I saw and witnessed in the third graders, I was amazed because I don't have any young children in my family experience. So to witness them paying attention and understanding at a level, as you said, when I was that age, I had no concept or clue. And so this is again where all of us as not only members of Loving Waters, but water faithful around the world, whatever your practice is to be the elder, to step, even we look at eldership sort of in an age frequency, but we can be the elder long before we age into that position. And it's really just sharing our wisdom and our love with the younger generations because they're really seeking people of truth. They're seeking people who are committed and working their heart's work. So again, I can't express any more, than the children are important, and we are the ones who are here on many levels to guide them, to be the banks of their flow and let them know, okay, so, I'm the right shore, you're the left shore, and let's flow. We give you the wisdom, the courage, the strength, and the support to move forward with this. So as Loving Waters, this is what we do for everyone. It doesn't matter what age you are. You can be 13 or you can be 90. Every single one of us can reach into that part of ourselves. And as I said to the public group, I had to make it very non-denominational. And I realized, wow, how more simpler can you get than just Dr. Emoto's I love you, I thank you, I respect you. And when I looked at the faces, people hadn't even heard of him. And I was in sort of a state of, I can't believe this. So again, whatever simple form each one of you have to offer is really important. It's you offering that creates the flow. So with that, I'm complete, and I'll pass the swim around here. There we go.
Well, I think this is a really good place to, to cycle with this call. I think what everyone's received who's watching this has gotten a taste of really what the essence of Loving Waters is all about. It's a place to go deeper. It's a place to expand. It's a place to celebrate. It's a place to do ceremony. And we invite you on the new moon to locally engage in your community. And we support that. So you can email us. You can come to the Facebook page. You can even call any one of the Loving Waters Council Guardians. And I really want to acknowledge them. Grandmother Abril is at the portal of the earth. And speaking of youth, she is doing a workshop there with so many hundreds of youth, and who are somewhere in Arizona, I think. And
Joshua Tree.
oh, yeah, right, Joshua Tree, right. And also, in the newsletter was something about this Beltane festivities offered by Charlotte Pulver in the UK. It's really honoring the springs, this particular one spring. And if you sign up, we'll just send you the newsletter. You can catch up with that. And I believe that's tomorrow. There's so many wonderful things that we can be participating in. And I feel like what we're seeing here at Loving Waters is really this potentiality to have each person feel the courage, like Charlie was describing. I mean, when we all know Charlie, when he started, there was no way he was going to do a public event. And that really goes for all of us. There's so many people that we've engaged with that you would want to meet and you would want to be inspired by. And little by little, we have the courage to find that voice of the water coming forth. So with that, you can go to Loving Waters and receive the pledge. That gives you something that you can use for your community, as well as we have a brochure that offers a really simple water blessing as well. So with that, maybe Maya, you can close us, and I know you're looking to share. And we love you, we thank you, and we honor you.
Thank you, Shelley. I would love to close by sharing my poem, Ode to Water, which you can find on the website. And just listen and allow the images to seep into you and notice which ones touch you. So this is my way to bless the water. Ode to Water. How is it that you go everywhere with no obstacles but for the human made? In your softness, you swirl and slip around the hard and staid, stroke the stones as you pass, laughing at their stubbornness, seep through cracks to find the depths where darkness reigns, and scatter your diamonds and sheets of light across seas and lakes and streams. Shape-shifting into ice, you remodel landscapes like a feng shui master. Move mountains and smooth out the hills, carve continents into whole new shapes. Never afraid to fall, you trust in surrender. Cascade yourself from heights that would make me swoon, just for the joy of it. And day after day, dance a slow cha-cha with the moon. And when you grow tired of earthbound life, you find wings, float angelic across the sky, masquerading as clouds. Even go so high that you merge with the sun, survive its fiery furnace, who knows how. And best of all, you live in me as blood and breath and flesh. And miracle that it seems to be, you've thus learned to walk and speak and sing. And water, you remember everything you've ever been or touched, and bring those gifts to me so I can also know I am part of all in this whole vast sea, and that I too can trust in its seamless flow.
Thank you, Maya. We can all unmute and just send this beautiful blessing. Deborah, I think you just joined us, but we're closing our call, and thank you for joining us. Yeah, nothing more to say. We're just going to ripple our love out to you. Thank you, everyone. Shanti Hart, Kathleen, Elizabeth, everyone who's so supporting us. And let's just grab our water glasses, and we can end with, water, we love you. Water, we thank you. Water, we respect you. Water, we are you. And drink that beautiful water. See you next month. Come and play with us.